What's up, guys? We are back with another episode of THPStrength. We are on episode 35 episodes. I actually had a question for Isaiah about the podcast the other day. He mentioned this. He said he got some statistics or analytics on how he did the first 30 days or whatever. Basically, this is just when quarantine was starting. Isaiah and I were bored, and we were pumping out podcasts basically every day. So, Isaiah, where did we rank, or how did we do?
The highest we ranked in the U.S. for fitness podcast was 30.
30. We were in the top 30 podcasts.
We're dropped down. I think we're at like 100 now or something like that.
Which is crazy because like we basically did that after 30 days and just didn't post. Like we were just like, all right, we're just gonna chill. Like we don't want to. He wants to make YouTube content. We don't want to be killing the podcast every day because it's like, I mean, it's a lot of work to do that, and we're really trying to focus on his training. So we wanted to balance things out a little bit better. And obviously with like the business growing, we've had to prioritize that a little bit as well. So we're kind of figuring this out as we go, getting into routine for Isaiah. That's like one of the most important things for him in life. So as he's adjusted, I feel like, I don't know, is your routine getting better? How do you feel like you're adapting or adjusting?
Honestly, I don't even have a routine at this point. It's literally wake up.
It's not good.
It's literally wake up, answer questions on WhatsApp, write programs, and then go train. Like
that's a decent routine. It's not terrible.
Yeah, but there hasn't been time for like. Usually, I wake up and I take like a couple hours to myself, and like just like freaking get recharged and stuff. But
that's crazy.
I've literally just been waking up and just starting like the day. Like I haven't even ate or anything. So,
yeah, well, that's not good. Hopefully,
don't matter. We gotta grind.
It's that mindset. We love it. We've been watching the Michael Jordan documentary. I feel like it's motivating both of us to be better at our jobs and also train harder. So it's just like the win mentality. It was interesting. Last night we were watching it, and like Michael Jordan, they asked him, they're like, "Do you think that your reputation was like became a thing, or winning became a thing, basically at the cost of being a nice guy?" And I was like, wow, I actually really relate to that. Like, there are a lot of times in my life whenever I was pursuing like my job, or I was pursuing being good at track and field, or I was just trying to be good at what I was doing or be the best at it. And in that pursuit, you kind of, I don't know, you can like lose track of like yourself and maybe neglect relationships or be rude or be upfront. But it's just because you have this like, this obsession with being the best, and like being the best doesn't always mean being nice to people, you know what I mean? And winning doesn't always mean being nice to people. So it's like taken me a long time to kind of like find that balance as far as a coach, because like Isaiah said this a few weeks back, like coaching beef is probably the worst of all beef. So yeah, that's a little bit tangential, some of the extra things going on in our lives, but I put a post up on my story. I asked you guys what some questions or topics you wanted to discuss. Isaiah and I were sitting before this. He's like, what are we going to do? Are we going to answer all of them? I'm like, I don't know. There's a bunch of really good questions. So it's different because my audience is a lot different than Isaiah's audience. Like, what would you say yours mostly is, more or less?
Probably like high school age guys to 24-year-old. I mean, you can see my statistics. It's literally 16 to 24-year-olds. That's the main thing.
Yeah. I feel like you get a lot of hoopers and like people that are like, you have a lot of people in the dunk community, but it seems like I get maybe more like coaches. Like coaches tend to follow me. So like coaches, older people that
not even coaches, just people that are knowledgeable about training.
Yeah. People that
the
are
nature
like
the nature of your post, like
everything
is gonna go over there. So you have to know about training to like actually take stuff out of your post.
You have to have some level of knowledge on the topics and stuff like that. That's for sure.
Whereas me, I just freaking post videos, me jumping
entertaining. Yeah, it's almost like people like your stuff because my stuff's like can be entertaining, but it's more like it's interesting. It's like thought provoking, I think, or whatever. Yeah. So firstly, I feel that these questions are really great. So I'm excited that you guys asked me a lot of really good ones. I'm excited to go through them.
This is actually the reason that I wanted you to put this on your story, because I get so many stupid questions, and I was like, it would probably be better for the podcast to have John like they're gonna ask him better questions on there. Yeah,
these are all really good. So the first one is, should you squat with max range of motion / in-game dunking? I don't know what the second part of it is. I think it maybe means like if you're in a deeper position when you're in a game because you're going off the dribble, Does that mean like you're going to probably need to squat deeper because then it's going to have better transfer specificity? I think that you should squat with max range sometimes of the year, and you should squat with partial range sometimes of the year. It just kind of depends on what your focus is and what you're working on. We talk about that a lot. Right now, Isaiah's doing hella deep squats. His deep squat is probably, I don't know, what are you shooting for in next week? Yeah, next week.
I'm hoping I can hit 385. I think that's a good number.
A little bit more in frame.
Yeah, my previous max is 365. I think I'm like at 365 right now.
What did you hit? The 330?
338 for 2.
338 for 2.
I think, I don't know, it depends how many times I could have got 338 for it.
I feel like you could have done it for 3, which would have estimated you.
I definitely would have been able to do it for 3.
That would have been point. Well, especially if you only did 1 set, because you did 2 sets of 2. I think you, like 3 to 4. Best case scenario, if it's 4, that's approximately 90% of your max. Or wait. 4, okay, so 2 reps is 95. If you do it for 2 reps, that's about estimated 95%. 4 reps is 90%, so 0.9 times, or divided by, right? Is that what you do? Yeah, 338 divided by 0.9. 375 is what that would have estimated you at.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good goal. 10-pound PR, that'd be big. Yeah. If you could, yeah, I think that'd be a really good goal. 385 would be like absolute beast mode. Yeah. Yeah, so I think it just depends on what you're doing and what type of jumper you are. I think it is good for off the dribble dunks. But I told Isaiah this yesterday. He asked me a really good question. He was like, if you could only do 5x5 or 7x2, and that was the only session you did 3 days a week, all out, like auto regulation on the sets, you're trying to work up to a daily max 5 rep or daily max 2 rep. He's like, which one would be better for jumping? And I was like, if that's the only thing you're doing, like, you're going to get more mass from the 5x5. You're going to get stronger on the 7x2 probably. The 5x5 probably has like a longer window of like adaptation. So you'll probably adapt longer to that just because there's more volume. You can have more cross-sectional area. But ultimately, both of them are going to become monotonous. And like you're going to get better at doing 5 reps. So your 5 rep, if you do the doubles, your 5 rep max is not going to go up as much. If you're going to be really good at doubles and singles. But like if you do the 5x5, you're going to get good at like probably anything from 7 to 3, between that rep range, just because of the amount of volume you're putting in. And you're going to have more cross-sectional area, which means you're probably going to have more force that you're able to output. So I really like that question because it's just like isolate. I like questions that really isolate things down. But I also told him this. He's like, "What do you think would be better for bounce?" And I was like, maybe. I was like, neither. Really, I was like, look at a power lifter. Like they do stuff like that all the time, or a weightlifter, and I can tell you from experience that they don't really jump high doing that because there's so many holes in their training. There's so many gaps. Squatting is like, they're just, that's not going to equal a bigger squat that way. It does not equal better jumping. Yeah. So I think, I don't know. I really like that question. Here's a good one. Freakiest athlete out of Jalen LeCue, Lonnie Walker, John Morant, and Derek Jones Jr.
He asked this on mine. I skipped that question.
Really?
That's yeah.
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah. I don't know who one of the guys is.
Lonnie Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
No idea who he is.
But I would say
Derek Jones Jr.
Yeah. Oh, Jaws. I think John Morant has more output, but Derek Jones Jr. is longer. That's what I think. So like John Morant probably jumps higher, I think, than Derek Jones Jr. But like Derek Jones Jr.
I don't know.
Have you seen the positions?
Derek Jones Jr. I've seen him get it like right here on the fucking rim.
But he's what, 6'8", 6'6"?
Yeah, I think he's 6'7".
6'7"?
Yeah. John
Morant's what, 6'3"?
Yeah.
John Morant can get. Yeah, they're probably pretty close. That's tough. I mean, I personally think John Morant. I think he. Freakiest athlete. Nah, I'm going with John Morant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go John Morant. Who was the other one? Jalen LeCue. I mean, Jalen LeCue is good, but he's not in the NBA, and he's not.
Yeah.
He hasn't proven himself. All right, next one. Running and dunking up and down on slanted surface doesn't make you a better athlete. Oh, this is from what we talked about with Ilya Ivanuk. So basically, like, if you're going to be on a slanted surface, what that does, like on an uphill, is that actually makes it harder for you to accelerate. So if you're like a sprinter and you're running up a hill, that means it's every step is going to be more closely to an acceleration. Your ground contact times are longer. You're kind of actively pushing with the muscle more. There's less of a deflection off the ground. The ground is meeting you. So the same thing applies with plyometrics. The same thing applies with really any locomotive thing that you're doing up a hill. Something else to maybe consider with that, with acceleration, is it's going to allow you to accelerate longer, which is good. It's going to decrease the intensity of the exercise because, again, the ground is meeting you. You're falling less of a different distance because the ground's coming up as you're coming down, versus if it were flat ground, you'd be falling down to a lower point relative to an incline. The other thing that maybe you should look at is how it impacts your Achilles. So if you are on a hill, you're going to be in more compression forces on the Achilles, and you're probably going to load the soleus a little bit more because you're going to have an extended acceleration phase. And just the way the foot meets the ground, I found that a lot of people tend to dorsiflex a little bit more on a hill. So it kind of, it loads
and you're going to have more knee bend too.
Yeah,
so
I think it's just,
is gonna even more
because the ground meets you, and right as you contact, you're going to be in that knee bend. Yeah, same thing. Like you said, you're going to have more soleus activity. So if you want to get good at acceleration, I think for dunking, actually, it's really good because dunking is closer on the force velocity curve to more similar, at least, to acceleration. It's all relative. And some people would say,
I mean, when we raced, like, I was right at home, like going uphill, like it felt.
Isaiah smacked me in a sprint, and it was ugly for me. He the other day we got on grass, and like he didn't do what he did to me on this surface. It was bad. We got on this sprint. We're on this like hill, this incline, and we start like
it's concrete.
It's concrete, so it's like a stiffer surface. So which is good for me. Like I would benefit from doing that. Isaiah's wearing my crazy explosives to help his foot. I'm in like tights running shoes, so I'm like good. I'm fully warm. There's no reason why I should really lose in a sprint. I've been sprinting for years. He's been sprinting realistically for like 3 maybe at tops, like all out like this.
Bro, we started sprinting in January.
Okay.
Before that, it was load management. And then I haven't sprinted probably for like half the year. So I think I've had like a legit like 6 months of like true sprint training.
He really hasn't done much. But like this cycle, we've pushed
This is definitely the most I've sprinted.
Yeah, like he had decent mechanics. His acceleration is actually really solid, but like his upright sprinting is where he struggles. So like usually what'll happen is he'll get out better than me, and then like I'll start to catch him. But like he went on my start. So I started, and then he started based on my reaction. And, like, I got out. Like, I was ahead of him. And then all of a sudden, I just see Isaiah just blow by me at, like, 25 meters. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I was like, either I'm so tired, his creatine is working 10 times better than mine, or he's just way faster in adapting. Which probably... Or all three. Honestly, probably all three. But I was like, this is insane. Like, and that is the moment I knew that he had truly surpassed me as an athlete. I was like, he jumps higher than me, significantly higher, and now he's running faster than me. The only thing I can do better than him is plyos, because he can't do plyos.
That's probably distance running.
And distance running, and tempo running. Tempo running, I'd get him too. But like, I was like, damn. Like now because when we started training, like, what was your best power clean at the time?
My best power clean? Are we talking like early?
Yeah, like in 2017, December. Or whatever that was.
Probably 205. I want to say, I remember struggling. I remember working out with Steven, like right before like working with you. This is actually when I was doing bounce kick back in the day. I remember doing hang cleans, and I was like trying to get 185. Like me and Steven were like seeing who could get 185 hang clean.
For perspective, Isaiah will pause clean 240. Did you do?
Actually, Friday I have to pause clean 240.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. He will pause clean 242 this week, which is like harder than a hang clean probably.
So I've gotten solid like 60 pounds stronger probably.
Yeah, which is crazy. So like I was doing 250 or something like that at the time. So I was like I was way stronger than he was in power cleans. Yeah. And I think my deep squat was 155 kg, which is basically what we did the other day for 2. I think I had done 1 rep of that, 155, which is like 3, maybe it was 1, no, it was 155. What is that, 340 or something?
I think so, yeah.
340, and your max is now 365.
Yeah. I mean, my max...
What was it at the time, like, when I first started working with you?
Probably 315.
315.
I remember I had just done 315 for my first time ever.
Yeah, and you're a little taller too, so that's part of it. I'm slowly moving you back in frame. Isaiah's sitting on the bed, which is uncomfortable. Yeah. So I think I don't know how that really came down to. Oh, it's because he's adapting. He's adapting very well to training, and he smoked me on these hill sprints. And now he's officially better than me at everything, maybe other than distance running, tempo running, and RSI. Those are the only things I still have on him. 1 foot jumping, I still think he'd probably.
I don't think I've ever tested my RSI.
Yeah, I think your Achilles would maybe explode if we did. So I think we're gonna avoid doing that for a little while.
I mean, that's just like a boop, boop, right?
Yeah, but you have to like pull the toe up, so your Achilles is really on stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's basically depth jumping, but repeat depth jumping, so it can be very intense. Shout out Cammy Colville, who hit over 4. He had a rep at 4.3, which is like crazy high RSI, and which is generally what you see with good speed jumpers, so it makes sense. All right, so downhill. We didn't even talk about downhill. Man, these are long answers, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. So if you run down a hill, the grade has to be approximately 2 to 3%. Because if you have the grade be steeper than that, you'll actually have braking forces. Like when you do upright running, every time your foot hits the ground, it's a braking force, upright running. So the farther the foot is out in front of you in any sort of locomotive thing that you do, that you're running or jumping off a single leg, the farther the foot is out in front, the more braking forces there are. You can't have propulsive forces until your foot is directly underneath your hip. And even that, there's still no true acceleration force just because of the angle of the vectors. So even if your foot has backwards velocity and you hit the ground, you're still going to have a deceleration. That's why really good upright running, you want to contact underneath your hips and tap the ground. You don't really want to cast the foot out in front of you and try to increase your stride by reaching out in front of you. And then you also don't want to necessarily, true upright running, you don't want to necessarily push back, which Isaiah has a tendency to do. You want to just tap the ground and let your legs deflect off it so that you can maintain or maybe even potentially increase that top speed a little bit. So downhill running, if you have too much of a grade, you'll have more braking forces than anything, which maybe is good for eccentric forces, but you also could pull your hamstring because you're unfolding the leg faster. And then you're having to cast out in front of you to stop yourself, basically. So the 2 to 3% is good because you can maintain really good upright running mechanics while still having like a supra speed, something you wouldn't otherwise be able to achieve. So that's kind of one of the benefits of it. It's super high risk and something that like you need to have basically attached to the track. Like I know there's some places, I think in like Europe or China. In China, they have like downhill grades that were built into the track that they can use, next to the track as a way of overspeed or whatever else. So that's the only real correct way to do it for speed training. And it tends to be very, very, very intense and high risk. And even a lot of elite sprinters won't do it because of that reason. So yeah, that's the thought on sprinting. For jumping, if you have the downhill grade, it's easier to accelerate into the takeoff, meaning like you don't need a very big run up to get a big horizontal velocity. It takes less metabolic energy for you to get up to speed and into position. And it's typically a little bit easier I found at least it's a little bit easier to do that. So I only have to take 5 steps. I might replicate the same velocity I get from 7 or 8, and I have that slight downhill grade. It also is going to increase the eccentric forces at takeoff. So like if Isaiah is a 2-foot jumper and I really wanted to overload him, I'd put him on a slight downhill grade so that he's accelerating harder into that plant. He has more speed that he has to deal with and manage as a way of overloading him. Now,
I wonder if like doing a 2-foot approach like uphill a little bit, if it could help teach people to push with their penultimate step.
Yeah, I think so because the contact will be longer. I think it's harder when you have a downhill. It's harder to have a long push off it because you're falling forward.
You almost have to be like
you have to be you have to be so volitional off that step to have like the contact is going to be shorter because your center of mass is moving over the foot faster.
Yeah.
So you're going to toe off sooner. But if you had it on an uphill grade and you were pushing off of it or upwards, the velocities are going to be slower. So you're losing a sense of specificity there. Like you're not going to reach the same peak speed. Mm-hmm. But you'd be forced to push back a little bit longer because your foot can be on the ground longer because you don't have as much momentum. Your center of mass isn't moving over the foot over a quicker, shorter period of time. So yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll do it with bands, work on the penultimate step. I don't usually do that with people unless they're really bad. Someone like Travis who really struggles, or if I couldn't really get them to do it at all and they really had a weak push off, sometimes female volleyball players that don't do any strength work or anything like that, they have a really bad penultimate step. I've used it for them and then really just worked on the footwork. So it's push, plant with a band around the hip. I do like that. I think Tyler Ray has done that for a while, and I think if you do it on an uphill grade, it'd be relatively similar. So
yeah,
that's what I'd say. I also think that when you change the angle, you're going to change the muscle, the internal. Sorry, my computer shut off. You're going to change the internal moments. So like every time you change the direction or the angle that your foot contacts the ground at a certain time, that's going to change all of the angles for the different moments and torques. So that's something else to consider. Even if it's like the grass that we're working on is massively different than the track. A slight uphill grade, massively different from the track. That's going to obviously favor
for your basketball shoes.
Isaiah ate shit yesterday. It was hilarious.
Twice.
He got in that stance. And usually what happens is the coefficient of friction is very low because you don't have enough downward force to get that coefficient of friction to go high enough. So Isaiah just like had this really low angle, really sharp, acute shin angle and just pushed back and fell on his face. It was hilarious. But that means he's probably really powerful right now. So that's also a good thing. Good thing it wasn't on concrete. Which those crazy explosives, you might slip on concrete, actually.
Yeah. I really need to get new basketball shoes.
I remind him every day to get new basketball shoes. And he forgets. I hit my face the other day on that girl's dresser. I'm not going to talk about that. Anyways, can you talk about how you use a foam roller? So there's... Man, this is could be a long answer. There's something called ART, active release therapy or something like that, which is basically that you take the muscle, you pin it, and then you take it through the range of motion. So it's like pin and stretch is basically what you call it. A lot of like PTs, ATs go through these ART courses, and they would hate for me to say that, but like I don't personally believe that it is. The claims that they make are substantiated in research. I think subjectively a lot of athletes really like it. I personally like it. Have I noticed my body just like feel better after it? Generally, yes.
Bro, when I was shadowing at the physical therapy clinic, honestly, half the stuff I saw there like didn't seem like it was substantiated by research. Like there was the electrodes.
STEM.
Oh yeah.
STEM has some. Yes, STEM has some, but
they were using like heat pads.
Some of that stuff is interesting. The modalities, like some of the modalities that you see from PTs and ATs, like. Generally, they're not as a performance enhancer. They're not going to work, in my opinion. Some of the stim units you'll hear like Charlie Francis talk about, where like the goal is to get the max output from the muscle. I've had clients use that and actually destroy their gains. Like they were so fatigued for so long that they actually lost vertical for years. So like I don't believe in using that. Like I would not want to see that happen, and because it's almost like unnatural to supply an external neural impulse to a localized muscle, that is not how it works in your brain, where the central nervous system is controlling that. And then there's a feedback loop. So like you fatigue this and the central nervous system actually fatigues. Like they're connected.
I just thought of something. So Elon Musk just had an interview with Joe Rogan and he talked about a neural link that they're like making. And initially it's going to be to like help have people see and like hear again and like that type of thing. And then it's going to keep developing. What if, and it's gonna connect to your like neurons and stuff like that.
It's gonna be a PD, baby. It's a PD.
Imagine if you could like, how your muscles have like a governor, like a central governor and all that. Imagine you could and take that down a little bit, get like 5% more.
You might rip every tendon in your body, but yeah, you could do it.
Like for a contest,
your muscle might tear. You might rip the tendon off. Well, the muscle would probably tear. Honestly, if the muscle. I don't even know what would happen. I honestly don't know what would happen. I think those stories generally, like women lifting up cars and crazy stuff like that, because the governor is kind of removed. And that's what we try to do. That's part of the reason why pushing intent also can be good. But it's, I think they tear like every muscle in their body when they do that. Like they just like wreck their body afterwards. But
imagine like you like just upping it a little bit,
just like 2%,
like
a 0.5%,
and then
probably jump like 4 inches higher.
Or imagine Chip is connected to your app, and you're like, release a little more adrenaline.
We're leveling up. Your vertical just goes up like 10 inches.
Yeah.
Like whoops, that'd actually be kind of dope.
That's gonna be like really I feel like that's gonna be the future of doping, like low key.
Yeah, it's
like I feel like 20
that's like
years from now,
PED to the max. Like that's like. That's worse than hormone therapy, in my opinion. Like you're gonna dope your central nervous system.
Release more testosterone.
You could, if you want it. Yeah, you just be like, all right, hypothalamus, can you just go ahead and release more testosterone? And there you go, or whatever. I don't know if it's the hypothalamus. That hypothalamus, I think, is connected to pituitary. Pituitary connects to the gonads. Then you have all the gonadotropin and all that shit. I don't know.
I would bet money that 20 years from now, that's gonna be the doping. That's gonna be what it's.
Shout out Elon Musk.
You're gonna get, bro. You're gonna get some like obscure Russian doctor who's gonna implant a chip illegally into his athletes, and then they're gonna take over.
Yeah, or it'll be you. No.
Yo, title of this episode: Doping in the Future.
Actually, gene doping. Man, we could talk about that for at least 2 minutes. But gene doping, you want to talk about that?
What
shit?
do you mean, like kids?
So basically, it's like build a baby, like build a bear. You know, it's like build.
That's what I mean, like kids,
yeah,
before
exactly.
they're born type.
Yeah,
thing?
you're like, hey, look, I want more type 2 fibers, less type 1 fibers. I want this tendon to be this stiff. I want them to be this height. Yeah, like gene doping. That's like you want this certain however you can.
And then they're born and they want to be a musician.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day. I was like, Isaiah, we're talking about like if him and his girlfriend or whatever had a baby, they're both really athletic. And I was like, you guys, your child. He's like, yeah, I want to be able to compete against my son, or daughter, I guess, in a dunk contest. I think it would be hilarious. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be amazing. Like, you could definitely make it happen. I'm kind of past that point. And I was like, yeah, what if you just like have a kid and he's just like, wants to be a musician now? He was like,
the artist.
Yeah, I was like, what would you do? And he was, I don't know, what did you say?
I don't remember. Oh, I was like, I'm going to support it.
Yeah, you're like, I'd support it. And I was like, wouldn't that suck? Like, everything you love, you just have to, like...
I remember what I said. I was like, I'm just going to, raise them up so that they're likely to, like sports. Like, I'm going to make them go outside, but I don't think that's going to be outside of the basketball hoop.
Every predisposition says be good at sports. Fair enough. I mean, that's kind of how it works. Yeah. All right, so foam roller thing, ART, whatever. I mean, basically just pin the muscle and then just go through range of motion. So that's the way I would do it if I were to foam roll, but I don't foam roll, so neither does Isaiah. If that tells you anything about what we think about foam rolling.
Yeah,
Maybe we should. All right, no, I'm playing. Which sport has the best overall athletes? We all know it's track and field. I actually don't think it's track and field. I think that the term athlete is such like a...
Depends how you define it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's I've made this argument for years, and people always argue with me because they like to argue with me about this because I always kind of have like an interesting perspective on it. But it's relative to like how you it's like it's more an argument of definition than it is an argument of who's the better athlete. Like if your definition of the best athlete is someone who runs the fastest and jumps the highest, then yeah, it's track and field. If your definition is someone who can do those things and change direction and can catch, then it's a football player. If your definition is someone who can run, accelerate well, and change direction and can react to defenders, it's probably a basketball player or a soccer player. And then you're like, oh, well, it's not a basketball player because they have to be able to run distance. Well, then it's a soccer player. You generally don't see people being good at all of them. And Isaiah has actually made the argument that it's impossible to be good at all of them. And if you look at Michael Jordan playing baseball, he's a great basketball player. He tried to play baseball. Did he improve? Yeah, he grew up playing baseball, and he's a really good baseball player. And for him to even play AA ball is actually incredible because that's an extremely high level of play. But just how much you have to be specific at your skill and how good you have to be now to even compete at any level. Even in the grassroots level, you're not going to get on the court if you can't do what most 20-year-olds can do on the court 50 years ago. You're not going to get playing time. So I don't know. I think that plays a role. I don't really like that question because again, it's depends on what you would define as it.
I would probably define it, and this would be an impossible thing to test. Is if you could have an athlete try every single sport and then rank them in terms of everybody, and then compile all those rankings from every kind of different sport there is.
I would generally agree with that, actually. I think that's true.
Have them play baseball. How good, in percentiles, what percentile are they in baseball? What percentile would they be in football?
Are they all equal? Everyone's equal?
Baseball. Yeah, everybody. Everybody's.
Okay, so so actually I like that. If every sport was equated, right, you'd find the coordination specific. So, if you played a rotational sport, you're going to be good at anything with rotation in it. If there's more rotational sports, then that person's going to win, the one that's good at rotational sports. Yeah. If there's more of a prerequisite on hand-eye coordination for the majority of the sports you picked for that.
Maybe a good thing would be the top 10 most popular sports on the planet.
So if we were to look at, let's say, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, running is one of the most popular ones, or track and field.
I would put track and field in there. Track and field, I would like the decathlon.
Yeah, like a decathlon. I don't know what other popular sports there would be. Volleyball, maybe hockey, cricket. Yeah, cricket. I'd say the rugby's probably up there. Handball. No, I'm playing. I don't know. Handball's actually sweet. Are we missing? We're missing a couple. We're definitely missing some of the most popular ones. I don't know. We could look it up.
Even weightlifting.
Weightlifting, yeah. I would say like generally what you'd see is like probably the baseball players would like win in that contest. Tennis, tennis is in there. I think baseball players would take the cake because I think a lot of the success, if you're gonna like if you're on a football field and you've never and you're a track and field athlete, you're gonna suck. I think you're gonna suck. I know for a fact because I've seen them play. I've seen the best track and field athletes in the world do anything with a ball, and it's terrible. Like even Andre DeGrasse, who played basketball growing up, is not good at basketball. And you can watch the All-Star game or the celebrity game and watch him play basketball, where he literally disrespects every track and field athlete by sucking. No offense, Andre, if you're listening to this, I know you're not, but you made us look really bad. You didn't even dunk. All right,
when he was in the celebrity game, he dunked.
Oh, did he? Yeah, but it was ugly. It was really ugly.
I don't think it was that bad.
It was really. It looks like the sprinter dunk. The sprinter dunks they don't lower. They pogo stick into it generally, and
yeah.
I don't know.
I gotta sneeze.
Go ahead, sneeze, bro. Corona.
Wait, do
it under. Oh, it's gone.
Psych. I don't got
Corona. Psych. You know you have it. So yeah, I think I don't know. I'd probably because I think baseball players I told Isaiah this. I was like, generally, the best athletes that I knew growing up were the baseball players that did basketball and did track and did all these other things. Like, when you find the baseball player that can run and jump, that's where it's, scary. That's where I think it gets really scary.
I think it will be a basketball athlete.
There's no bias here.
I'm just thinking, I feel like a basketball, I'm talking high level, someone in the NBA.
Do you think they could hit a fastball never playing baseball, or play tennis, never having swung or caught or threw? Or do you ever see baseball players?
I feel like basketball. I feel like basketball, to be good at basketball, you need a lot of the skills that the other sports hit. The only thing would be maybe swinging the bat.
Because you're gonna miss out. If we just pick the ones that we picked, you're probably not gonna be very good at. I've seen basketball players try to play volleyball. It's not good. You could give them a little tutorial and they might figure it out. But hoopers generally suck at running. They can't do anything with any upright running. They're not good.
But we're talking the best athletes.
I know. But I'm saying basketball. Okay, so if you take the best basketball players, I don't think they're going to be good at baseball. They're not going to be good at tennis. They're not going to be good at volleyball. They're not going to be good at anything that you're striking, where you're striking something, a striking sport. Cricket, they're going to suck. Soccer, they probably would be decent at soccer, I think, actually. I think they'd be good at soccer. But, I think if you take the baseball player, they're going to... If you had a baseball player that could run and jump, right? They now can play tennis. They will probably be able to know how to shoot a basketball because I've never met a baseball player that couldn't shoot a basketball, at least half decently.
I've had opposite experiences.
Really?
I've seen baseball players that...
That's interesting.
Can't put them on a basketball court.
Yeah, I vote every baseball player. Man, we could go on and on.
Yeah, this is next question.
We need to do a statistical study at Duke. We're gonna grab all the athletes, and basketball will definitely win. I don't know, actually. I can't imagine Zion swinging a tennis racket or a baseball bat. Him swinging a baseball bat.
I feel like if you're a good dunker, you can be good at baseball. Anything.
I think you have the ability to. For sure.
Yeah. But if you take a basketball player that's more of because dunking, I'm talking specifically dunking and not even jumping high. I'm talking the skill of dunking, being able to catch, and then you're literally smacking your arm as hard as you can. It's like punching that. It's the same. It's the same arm action, hip rotation, all that stuff. So I feel like if you're good at dunking hard, you have all the rotation and
So dunkers are actually the best athletes on the planet. You heard it here first. Dunkers could do all the sports. Isaiah's maybe.
Honestly, I would make a good case for that.
You would make a good case.
Because
you're very good. Isaiah's actually, people don't realize how incredibly athletic Isaiah actually is. There's nothing he can't do.
Growing up, I played football. I played baseball. I did wrestling. What else did I do? I did track for a little bit.
He's forced to do all these things now that he doesn't even like to do. And I've seen him play baseball. And I haven't seen him throw, but I know he could throw.
And I will say basically every elite dunker that I've met did a lot of sports and were pretty good at a lot of sports. They didn't specialize.
I think you would find if you trained elite dunkers the way Isaiah's trained, like you would find that they would be really good at most everything they did.
Yeah.
Like
I think it's a
they're going to
different
be able to
story.
catch, they're going to be able to run, they're going to be able to like figure out how to hit
I think this is
shit.
strictly talking about like elite dunkers though. Like I'm talking guys that are like skilled at the actual act of dunk, like not just jumping high and stuff like that. It's different. I think it's a different story for like.
I agree. I agree with that. You're talking guys that have hands too. You take the elite dunkers, the guys with hands. They're going to be really good at a lot of things. Like because people don't realize how much coordination goes into the dunks that they do. Like Isaiah said this. I've known this for a while, but he said this and it kind of phrased it in a way that was really interesting for me. He was like, there was this dunker who said he wanted to be the best dunker in the world, but then he realized how hard it is to be the best dunker in the world. So then he said he was going to be the highest jumper in the world. And then he said he was going to be the best basketball player. He's going to go to the NBA or something. And like, you know, it's like you kind of realize, oh, your backup plan was dunking. That was your that was your initial plan, sorry. Your backup plan was going to the NBA. What? Like you don't realize how much skill there is to like you only get you get 3 chances, maybe best usually.
So you also have to be good under pressure.
You gotta be good under pressure. You gotta throw the ball perfectly where it is, and you have to it's different than high jump. Like high jump, the approach is exactly the same. Every single time.
It's more specialized.
Yeah, it's like every step is so particular. But like dunking, okay, the bar doesn't move, like nothing moves. The approach starts at the same location, you measure it out every time. Dunking, like every dunk has a different approach from a different angle. You do something different in the air every single time.
Another thing that a lot of dunkers are surprisingly good at, elite dunkers, gymnastics.
Yeah. Yep. Because they're springy and they
can all flip. When you're doing like the dunk I did where I spun first, kicked over the dude's head, boom, did that. I think Jordan Koganen tapping the ball with his hands like back and forth. Like, there's surprising. There could be a case for dunkers being elite dunkers being the best athletes.
Yeah, because like especially if they sprint it. I mean,
and elite dunkers usually have no training, no formal training.
Yes, they're usually just raw athletes.
Yeah,
it's actually crazy when you think about that because like. I mean, maybe you can make an argument maybe that's a better argument for like the best basketball players doing that. But I just don't think I think being an elite basketball player, like you just have to be so specifically skilled in that you usually neglect all the other things that dunkers don't. Like dunkers, the ones that are well trained, like Isaiah, they have hands, but they also sprint all the time. And they also lift really freaking heavy. And they also do things that require endurance. There's no stone that's left unturned. Unlike a track and field athlete, though, they do a sport with a ball in their hand. So they typically know how to play basketball. They typically know how to play football because they know how to sprint and cut and do those sorts of things and catch. Yeah. You could teach them how to do tennis or whatever else because in my training, the arm action is very similar for a lot of the dunks that they do, and you could just describe it to them that way.
I've tried tennis.
Hand-eye coordination is massively important in dunking for your hands and things like that. Anticipating where the ball is going to land and knowing when to move. I mean, dude, man, wow.
You heard it here first.
Dunkers are the best athletes.
Pro dunkers are the best athletes.
Pro dunkers. And if you're a track and field athlete, try to do between the legs. I bet you there's like 10 people that can. Like, we're better athletes. Can you do it between the legs? No. Can you catch a football? Probably not well. Yeah. Can you play a game of basketball? Probably not well. I know they can. All right, that's my argument.
It's pretty interesting. We just talked our way through a pretty solid.
It's a confirmation bias, but we're sticking with it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stick with it. Is this still on? Okay, good. All right, let's see.
More questions.
There's a bunch more questions. We'll do one more question. We'll keep this one a little shorter. Yeah. Let's find a good one though. Okay, exercise to improve single leg vertical. That's stupid. How you warm up for a dunk session? What if Isaiah started training like he does now at 15? That's pretty interesting. We kind of just talked about that though. Yeah. My back isn't straight.
Actually, can we talk about that?
Do you want to talk about that one?
Yeah.
All right. What if Isaiah started training like he does now at age 15? This one, this is a good question, actually.
Hot take.
He wouldn't be as good.
I wouldn't be as good.
He wouldn't be as good. I actually agree. I think this is why Isaiah and I, with a lot of the young kids, one of the biggest questions they ask us is, can I dunk more than what's on the program? And immediately our answer is always yes. Dunk as much as you possibly can, assuming that your knees don't hurt. So this is like, what we've kind of realized is that every elite dunker at some point will have an injury. And they will, whether it's knee pain or it's ankle pain or it's your foot or your hip, whatever it is, at some point you're going to have a nagging injury. All right. And the reason why elite dunkers, the reason why it's so difficult with elite dunkers to be as good as they possibly are without having dunked a lot as a kid is because they won't have the coordination that we just talked about. They won't have the hands, and they won't have the ability to even jump well. Like, the best jumpers are the ones who jump a lot as little kids. And I even am experiencing this now as I jump more with my right foot. You just get hurt. Like, your muscles don't know how to coordinate things correctly, and the progress is so freaking slow. It's so slow. Like, I can do things coordinatively because I actually am relatively coordinated. Like, you can teach me how to hit a serve, and it'll look correct whether or not I make contact and the ball goes where it's supposed to. No, but I can put my limbs in the right place with relatively good timing. So, like, when you do that, though, and you haven't jumped that way your entire life, your body is not adapted to it. It doesn't know how to coordinate and turn muscles on and off like it would if you jumped as a kid all the time growing up. And, like, I think for him, one of the things, and this is something I learned, and Jordan Kilgannon and every elite dunker basically, is like they dunked a shit ton as a kid, like all the time, and usually on low rims. So, like, how would it be, how he trains now? No way. The way he trains now at 15, like, if he only wanted to be a dunker, if that's all he wanted to do, probably not going to work. Like, we would want him to dunk more, and he probably could dunk more. So let's say you adapted it, we would pull some stuff out and put more dunking in. I
think the only thing that probably would have made me better would just be learning how to load manage and how to keep my knees healthy. I think that, and what that would have done is it would have allowed me to dunk more.
Exactly. So. That would have been the only thing. Yeah. So, like, we tell people, you know, like, we have a lot of young clients that we will tell, like, go, dunk. If you can only, Athletic Pete, great example. He's what? How old is he?
17.
He's 17, so he's not 15, but, like, 17. He's gone through that learning curve of, like, dunking all the time, eventually got knee pain, and we were like, all right, you know, what can we do to make this, more optimized?
Yeah. And he put in so many reps, he's at a point, like, where he could technically he could now focus strictly on basically, like, jump training, like proper jump training, and he's built good jump technique, and he has hands. He could literally take 6 months off, only jump training, come back and, like, be better because of that.
Yeah. And he just did some, like, ball handling or something like that.
And it's on there's like a spectrum, like, it's on a gradient. Like, I think for me, it was even more important to get the reps because I didn't have naturally good jump technique. So I needed even more reps to, first of all, just get past that, like, learning curve and actually get good jump technique and then drill it in and stuff. Versus there's another guy we're training right now. He's a basketball player, Trey Miller.
Oh, yeah.
I was talking to him yesterday. He has never thought about jump technique, never practiced it much. He has literally perfect jump technique. Someone like him, like, he probably doesn't need to jump. He doesn't need to jump every day to get that technique. He already has it, like, instilled in him. So he could probably get away with better jump training and stuff. For him, it would only be if he wanted to dunk better. He would need to like dunk every day.
Yeah, I agree with that. And actually, Isaiah mentioned this. I was playing Call of Duty because I'm trying to get 125, 15 kills or more in a match, 125 times to get the obsidian for my MK2 because I suck. Anyways, it's very difficult, especially whenever everyone's using a freaking MP5 and they're like, dead. And you're like, great. Well, I died. I got a hit marker, but you didn't die. Anyways, that's my rant. So I heard him having this, like, whatever. He was having a conversation with Trey, and, like, I was like, yeah, he's a hooper. Like, it's catch and shoot. And I was like, what did I just realized something. Like, every basketball player, like, hooper that I've ever worked with typically has very, very good 2-foot jump technique. And I think the reason why is because the footwork is so similar to catch and shoot. Like, if it's, like, when you step into your shot, it's a plant foot, your block foot comes around, you have that little bit of internal rotation. Watch Steph Curry shoot a shot, and then watch a really good 2-foot jumper. Watch the similarities that you see.
It's like
it's the same exact thing.
It's literally like practicing a sub-maximal 2-foot jump. And, like,
with perfect.
It's like doing walkthroughs. Like, I always say how throughout the day I walk through and practice my approach. Like, thinking about it, it looks like a jump shot. I literally, like, if you put that, like, I'll walk around doing this type of stuff. Wait, put it up a little bit more. Like, I'll literally just walk around, like, doing this type of thing. Now imagine it's a catch and shoot. Like, put it up just a little bit more. Boop, boop. If I'm doing a catch and shoot, boom.
Every time.
And then look, now not catch and shoot, walking through an approach, I'm thinking 2-foot jump. Boom. What's a catch and shoot? Boom.
It's the same
It's
exact
the same thing.
And I said that yesterday, and it was one of those moments where I was like, what happened? It was like subconscious.
And most basketball players are good with, they can do both left, right, and right, left. Guess what? If you're coming in, if you're going around a pick, going from the right side of the court to the middle, guess how you have to do it? You have to plant in the right, left. If you're coming up from a pick, going from the left side of the court to the top of the key, guess how you have to plant? Left, right. You can't plant the other way. You literally can't.
And some people will like jump, they'll do like a jump stop into it, and it'll look very mechanical and things like that and not smooth. And for those people, they generally have bad jump technique. The people that do that, like catch with the left, plant the, let's say like you said, you're coming around a pick or whatever, you plant with the left, plant the right, you have to shoot, or you go the other direction, same exact thing. Like, that's why they have very good jump technique. That's why it looks effortless. That's why it looks fluid. Like that
and then they're just trying to dunk after practice.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh yeah, it's between games, let's go, and then they try to dunk. So yeah, I feel like we've answered those questions pretty thoroughly. We only got through a couple of them, but there were a lot of really good questions. I don't even know what we're gonna title this. Maybe we'll title it like, what will
doping in the future?
Future doping.
Who are the best athletes in the world? Dunkers are the best athletes.
Dunkers are the best athletes in the world. We're putting that as the caption. People are gonna be like, "What?" And we'll make a strong case for it.
All right, I'll close it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you are whatever platform you're listening to on, make sure you give us a 5-star review and leave a review. Screenshot your review. Tag us on Instagram with the screenshot of the review, and we will repost you on Instagram, get you a little more followers. And yeah, other than that, stay on the lookout for our Instagram stories. This is where we usually post, we're about to do a podcast. Ask us questions. We always do podcasts Tuesdays and Thursdays, so be especially on the lookout on those days or the day right before. But with that, kill your training today. Don't be lazy at home. You can always do something. Go to THPStrength.com.
Subscribe to my FAQ page. Read the FAQ page. Stop asking stupid questions.
So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Catch you guys next time.
Peace.